What's up, family, and welcome to another episode of the Church Systems Podcast. Look, let me just start by saying how grateful I am for your feedback. Some of y'all have been letting us know that this has been a blessing to you, and some of you have really been able to make some strides forward, just taking some of the simple things that we've been sharing with you. And I'm super grateful and I'm super excited for you, for your support, and for how you really help us continue to get the word out about expanding the church and doing it the right way. All right. If you're here, this is your first time, don't worry about it. Look, let me introduce myself. My name is Henry Tolbert. I'm the owner and founder of Simple Systems Consulting. And here on this podcast, we give you the tools and the strategies you need to see healthy growth in the church. And when we talk about healthy growth, we mean spiritually, numerically, and financially. Spiritually, are the people becoming more like Jesus? Numerically, are we depopulating hell so that we might populate heaven? And financially, are we increasing in resource so we can have a greater impact on the lives and the people we serve, but also the communities around us? And I want you to know that I'm a friend to pastors. I'm somebody who understands you because I have been you. I've spent over 20 years of my life involved in ministry in different roles and different positions. And it has all come together for me to be able to come back and be a partner to you to help take some of the stress off your shoulders. You know, I want to help you grow, but I don't want you to burn out in the process. And so that's one of the things that we do. All right. So today we've got I think we got a really good episode prepared for you. We're going to be talking about Click to Connect. We're going to be talking about the revolutionary path to digital discipleship. You know, one of the things that we did when we first started, many people don't know this, but when we first started, our focus was on digital discipleship. And one of the things that we would do, we would build online discipleship classes for churches. That was our thing. We built online discipleship classes to help churches take steps forward, to help churches move forward, to help churches really get things done. And as a result, one of the things that we saw churches have a great impact in the digital and the online space. Not just from people, because sometimes we hear the digital space, digital discipleship, we think people who are away from us. But this is also valuable for people who are right in your church. Because one of the problems that we tried to solve was that we knew post-pandemic that people were not gathering as frequently as they once were. And so as a result, we needed another mechanism whereby people could gather, where people could engage, but they could do it on their time and on their schedule. And so that's one of the things that we talked about. And so what we're going to do in this episode today in Click to Connect, I'm going to help you see and learn how you can be a part of this digital revolution. All right. So let's start here. Let's start with the what and the why of digital discipleship. All right. A couple of things. When we talk about digital discipleship, here's my definition. Digital discipleship is the spiritual development of believers in the digital space. All right. Spiritual development of believers in the digital space. Here's why I say that. Because when we're talking about digital discipleship, we know that the church has a mandate to make disciples. That's what we're called to do. It's what we're supposed to do. It's our responsibility to do it. But one of the things that we've seen over the past several years is that there is great value to being able to do that, but for being able to do it online. And so what we want to help you do is we want to help you move people spiritually, to see people grow up spiritually, see people move forward spiritually in the digital space. And I need you to understand this, is that I understand that your time is limited. All of our time is limited. And not only is our time limited, but our time with our people is even more limited. You know, people today, most churches have 4 different congregations. They've got a first Sunday congregation, a second Sunday congregation, a third Sunday congregation, and a fourth Sunday congregation, which means that if you're trying to plan in-person events that happen one time and that happen in these different windows, the chances of getting everybody to come are really, really low. And so by doing this in the digital space, what we're saying is we're going to stick to our mandate for making disciples, but we're also going to do it in a way that we can increase our our effectiveness and our efficiency as we do it. And I think there are a couple of benefits and a couple of reasons why digital discipleship is so high value today. All right. Number one, it's always available. You know, when you set up a digital discipleship process, it's available 24/7. You know, just a couple of days ago, we were working with a church out in Texas, and we built a class for them. And I could see spiritual gifts test results coming in at 11 p.m. at night. Some of them were coming in the middle of the night. because digital discipleship is always available. It's not something that you can have to turn on and turn off. It's available 24/7. Once you set it up, once you create it right, it's available 24/7. So that's one huge benefit to digital discipleship. Number two, it provides and makes for an easier workload for your teams. When you're doing discipleship in person, then you've got to have a team of people who are there. You've got to have a team of people who set up a room, reserve a room, who set up all the different things, print out workbooks, make sure you have the supplies you need. They've got to make sure that people show up. So you got to keep on calling them to make sure they show up on time, make sure they get there in person. And if you have the kind of rhythm where you've got people coming to that consistently, by all means, do it. But one of the values of a digital discipleship process is that it's an easier workload for your team because the vast majority of what happens can be automated. So here is how we build it in our process is that we give you a custom link that people complete and they fill out when it's time for them to register for the class. So they fill it out, they register for the class. Once they register, they'll get automatic emails, automatic reminders, automatic text messages saying, hey, finish the class. Hey, we've got graduation coming up. We want you to finish, do this, do that. But they do all of those things. So getting the emails, getting the text messages, getting reminded, getting access to the class, right? Being able to log in and go into the class and being able to download your workbook. All of those things are automated, which means that the only thing that a human has to do is make sure that that people have the link to register, but also to call them and to follow up for a human touch. Other than that, getting access to the class, automated. Getting the workbook, automated. Getting access to all of the modules and all the videos, automated. Taking a quiz at the end, automated. Graduating once they make a 70% or more on that quiz and getting a certificate, automated. Reminder text messages, automated. Reminder emails, automated. All those things are automated. And so now you can make sure that people are coming into the church, growing with the church, but it's not happening in a way that's bonkering, holding down or bogging down the time of one of your staff members. So it's an easier workload for your staff, and that right there makes it a huge win for most churches as well. And then number three, it's user friendly. The way that digital discipleship could be designed, it could be very, very user friendly, meaning that most people know how to use membership sites. And so, literally, once they sign up, once they register, you can have an email that automatically goes to them saying, hey, you've been granted access to this class, to this course, to do this thing. And all they've got to do is take the password and their email, go and log in. And right there, they have access. And one of the things that I'm excited about that we've been playing around with that's getting ready to go live this quarter is that now we're going to be launching custom apps for all of our partner churches, which means that now people will be able to download their app and take their discipleship and new members classes right from their mobile devices. Listen, I could not be more excited. I'm so looking forward to going. But I think for us to really jump into this click to connect, you needed to understand that first. You need to understand what digital discipleship is and why it's so high value. It is high value because you don't miss an opportunity because it's always available. Digital discipleship is high value because it's an easier workload for your team. You don't have to wear out your team. You can let them do other things and focus on the human touch while everything else is automated with technology. And then it's user friendly. It's super easy. It's not much different from the systems that people are accustomed to using. So it's very easy for them to get in, plug in, and really start taking some steps. All right. So that's the what and why digital discipleship. So now let's start diving into the core components of digital discipleship. All right. When we talk about digital discipleship, I think there are three very core things that need to be included. All right. And so if you're thinking about doing digital discipleship, I'm going to give you the whole play. All right. I'm going to give you the whole rundown because I ain't going to gatekeep. I don't want to hold it back from you. I want to make sure you know what it is and I want to make sure you understand it. And then if you want help, if you want to skip the line, if you want to go from trying to take 3 months or 6 months to design this on your own to instead saying, hey, look, can you go ahead and give it to us already designed? Then you can reach out to us and we can help you with that. As a matter of fact, just a short while ago, I was talking with a pastor and I was showing him our program and our digital discipleship. He said, man, the way that our church operates, the way that our people operates, we're kind of a traditional Baptist church and so on and so on. He says the way we operate, he said it would take us 3 years to do this, and you're telling me we can have it in a matter of weeks. He says, listen, it's a no-brainer. Let's do it. And so maybe that's where you are, but I'm gonna give you the components. If you want to put them together yourself, go for it. If you want some help, reach out to us. All right. So 3 things that I think are super important. Number one is the first component is the online new members classes. All right. So what you want to do is just you want to have the ability for people to be onboarded into the church digitally. All right. So let me stop and talk about this. This is so important. One of the things that helps decide longevity when it comes to people joining things or being a part of an organization, taking on a new job, whatever it is onboarding. Onboarding. This is why the best companies in the world, they have extremely detailed onboarding processes. And what those onboarding processes do is that they fill in the gap between where you are and where we want you to be. All right. And so if you're an individual who's out there doing ministry, doing life on your own, and you want to become a fully engaged disciple of Jesus Christ through our church, then what we've got to do is we've got to fill in that gap. We've got to make sure that we bring you up to speed and help you understand exactly what it means to be a part of our church. And the same is true for discipleship. So what you want to do is you want to have a series of classes that answer the most important foundational questions for people who want to be a part of the church. And I think this is important, especially if you want to reach unchurched people. You've got to understand that there are a bunch of things they don't understand, and you cannot cover all of them in your service, right? I'm going to say something, and this makes a lot of people uncomfortable. It's the truth. You're not discipling people. You're not fully discipling people through your Sunday sermon, because there are too many people who have questions and things they don't know. And so what you need is a course that covers all the basics. Now, for us, we use a 4-session course that covers the basics, but for you, it could be more than that. It could be less than that, but you want to cover the basics. We identified 4 specific things that people needed to know in order to move forward in their journey. And so we build a course so that we cover those specific 4 things. And so what you want to think about is, what are the basics that people need to know and understand in order to be fully functioning, effective members of the church? And you want to cover them in a new members class. It's a way of saying to them, hey, look, we want to help you have a good journey. So here are the things you need to know in order to plug in and get involved, right? And so a lot of that comes to fruition in this online new members class. And so what you want to be thinking about is, how can we put this together? What needs to be covered? And how do we walk forward in it? All right. So that's component number one. Component number two is the virtual altar call, the virtual altar call. And what this is something that is specific for your online audience. All right. Now let's talk about this for a second, because in the past, our online audience was thought to consist of people who are not in our area, who are not physically a part of our church. It's for people who live somewhere else, who work somewhere else, who cannot come to church. All right. And today, that is very different. Today, your online audience does consist of people who don't live in your city. It may even consist of people who don't live in your state or in your nation. It consists of people from all around the world. It could, your online audience, but it also consists of your regulars. Your regulars are also a part of your online audience. And so you want to be aware of that, right? Your virtual audience is people who come to your church in person on first Sunday, but then stay at home on the second Sunday. They come on the third Sunday, but stay at home on the fourth Sunday. Or they plan to come every Sunday, but if they have a rough week, if they have a rough night, if they got a lot of stuff they got to do, they got a lot of stuff going on, they're going to decide, hey, look, I'm just going to watch service this Sunday, right? And I want you to be okay with that to the best of your ability. I'm not saying stop encouraging people to come in, because we want people in person. But what I am saying to you is, embrace that some people, online is going to be a better option as the situation changes. Okay. And so you want to be aware of that. And so you want to make sure that you have, and one of the things that you can include in your digital discipleship is a virtual altar call, right? So in service, a lot of times in church, we invite people to come forward when they want to make a next step. They want to give their life to Christ. They want to rededicate themselves. They want to be baptized. They want to join the church. They need prayer, all of that. You invite them to come forward. And so what I'm saying to you is, you can do that virtually. You can set up a virtual space where people who are watching online can click a link and instantly be taken into a virtual room where they're sitting face to face with a guest, with a host, right? With somebody who says, "Hey, welcome to our virtual altar room. I'm so excited. Hey, what's your name?" And they settle their name and say, "Well, look, I'm about to send you into a room with one of our elders who's going to pray with you and chat with you and talk to you about the next step that you're ready to make. All right, are you ready? All right, I'm about to send it to you. Click this button and it'll take you directly in there." Right? And you send them in and they get to go and pray face to face with a person. They get to talk to them. They say, "Look, I want to receive Jesus," or, "Hey, I'm looking for a church home." And now you've got a real live person who's talking to them and saying, "Okay, here, I'm excited to have you. Where are you located? Tell me what makes you want to be a part of a church. Here's the next step. Let's get you plugged in. We can get you started right now." Right? That is a powerful tool in the digital space. And I'm telling you, if you embrace a tool like that, you move ahead of 99% of the rest of the world. And so it's an amazing opportunity to really set this up. And again, so much of this can be automated to where literally it's very simple to execute. But here's another benefit of this. It is a way for people to get involved and engage no matter where they are. Right? To do this, you could have a prayer team of people who are sitting in a back room in your church. Or you could have a prayer team of volunteers who are not even in your city, but they love the church and they want to serve, right? Because if you're going to have an online campus, you need online volunteers. And so this is a role that you can allow people who are not even here to be a part of and to take part in, even though they're not present physically. All right. But a virtual altar call is a way to change the game. We did this for one church, and there was a lady who called in and she received ministry and she connected with one of the ladies on the prayer team, and they are best friends to this day. They're best friends to this day simply because they started here. They started with the process of putting this in place, building it out so that they could begin to take the next step. All right. So you want people to click to connect. Imagine that people who are watching your live stream could click a button and go into a room and receive prayer right there on the spot. So while people are doing an altar response in person, you can be doing an altar response online. Like, listen, these are the benefits of 21st century ministry. We can do things that were heretofore never imagined or thought of. Did I just say heretofore? I did. I just use a real old King James word, but you get my point. All right. You can really do that. All right. And here's the final component, or a third component I'll give you, is guest follow up. Here is where so often we miss it in the church. When a person comes to church one time and they visit, that's not the end of the story. There's a very small percentage of people who make a decision right there at that moment, right? For the rest of the world, they're going to need to engage with you a few times before they decide to say yes. So a person who's looking for a church may show up to your church on Sunday and visit, and then you may not hear from them again. But really, that doesn't mean that they're not they're saying no. It doesn't mean that they don't want to engage. It simply means that they're just biding their time and seeing how the process goes. And so you need a follow-up process. You need a process where you call and text and email people after they come and visit to be a part of the church. And you invite them to come back. You invite them to take the next step. You invite them to do those things. You've got to have good follow-up. If you don't have good follow-up, man, you might be missing out on 50 or 60% of the new members that you could have in your church simply because you didn't follow up. I'll tell you this, as somebody who recently was visiting churches and spending some time getting to know different spaces, there are several churches I went to, but one of them that was really, really good. But nobody ever followed up with me. I didn't know what to do next, right? I texted in and I sent my number in the text and I signed up as I came in. I did all those different things and nobody ever reached out to me. Nobody ever connected with me to say, "Hey, here's the next steps. Hey, here's what you could do next. Hey, here's how you become a part of the church. Hey, here's how you do this and that." Nobody ever reached out to see exactly what was happening next. And as a result, nothing ever happened. And so what I'm saying to you is you need a guest follow-up process. And this is going to help you in the digital space, but it's also going to serve you really well in the in-person space. With our partners in the churches we work with in our program, one of the things that we do is that we give them scripts to say, okay, when a person comes to visit, here's a phone call script for when you make a phone call. Here's a script for the email that you're going to send. Here's an email for the text message that you're going to send, because we want to make sure that everybody is on the same page about what happens next, and nobody has to guess about it. So I'm giving you the same task. You need to build out a guest follow-up strategy. How will you follow up with people to make sure that they go from first-time guest to second-time guest, and from second-time guest to fully engaged member? All right. So those are just some of the core components. But now let's take a look at some of the instant benefits, because here's the reality. If you decide to implement digital discipleship today, right? Which I don't know why you wouldn't implement this, right? Because you know that there are some gaps in your process. You know that you're missing out on some new people. So this is an amazing strategy for you to implement. You can go and build this now, or you could have us to build it for you, whatever. But I don't know why you wouldn't do it, right? But if you need a little more convincing that this is important, let me tell you some instant benefits for digital discipleship. And I'm going to speak a little bit specifically for some of the instant benefits if you're working with us on this. Now, if somebody else is doing this, I don't know about them, but I can't speak for if you did it on your own. I can only speak for if we helped you do this. All right. Here are a couple of instant benefits. Number one is volunteer training. The beauty of this, of doing digital discipleship through simple systems, is that we're going to train your volunteers on how to execute the system. We're going to train them on how to make it happen. We're going to train them on how to get it done. We're going to train them so that they know exactly how the process is set up. So anytime they need to do anything, they know how to do it. Now, think about that. Think for a moment if 10 hours worth of training was set aside for your leaders. So you don't have to train them. You don't have to schedule. You don't have to bring nobody in. All they've got to do is log on and go and walk through training. You couldn't beat it with a stick. All right. And so volunteer training is one of the instant benefits. You get instant access to our volunteer training. Number two, it's a fast turnaround. We worked with the church just last week, and their discipleship class, because they gave us all of their things, was done, designed, and back to them in 3 days. That's right, 3 days. It was fully customized. The workbook was fully customized. Their videos were set up. Their landing pages were built. Everything was laid out in 3 simple days. Can't beat it. So it's a fast turnaround. Now, 3 days may not be typical, but it doesn't take longer than 2 weeks once we have all of your information. Last but not least, is easy implementation. Once you sign up, we literally build a course for you, and we send you a link, and all you got to do is take that link and share it wherever you want. You can email it to people. You can text it to people. You can attach it to a QR code. You can do whatever you want. You can put a button on your website. However you want to do it, you set it up, and just that quick, it's all good to go, and it's all ready to go. All right. Super simple, super easy, but super, super impactful and ready to move forward for you. All right. So listen, like I said before, I don't know why you wouldn't do this, but if you're stalling, there's a way. All right. So here are the next steps for those of you who want to take action and begin putting this into place. Number one, I want you to schedule your breakthrough session. If you look in the description of this episode, you'll see a link to a breakthrough session. You can click that link and you can schedule your session. It'll ask you some questions, but it'll put on your calendar and on my calendar a meeting for us to sit down and speak together. All right. And when we sit down and speak together, it's very important that you take this seriously, because I've got a lot of other meeting types that are handled by different assistants and different people who do that. But this particular meeting I do myself, because it is an opportunity for me to connect with other senior leaders. That's the one thing I ask, is that the senior leader be a part of that call, and then any other decision makers can also be invited to that call. You'll see an opportunity to add them when you register. But when you answer those questions, it's going to set up a meeting for us, and I'm going to come. I'm going to be ready for you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to build some custom things, and our team is going to build some custom things so that you can see it before we even jump on and we start working together. All right. So I want you to schedule that call. On that call when you click that registration, it's going to give you an option to apply for our program. So when you apply for our program, the Church Systems Bootcamp, you will get a chance to say, hey, look, I want to be considered, because we've shifted away from just an open sign up to now an application process where you can apply to work with us and say, hey, I want to work with you guys. I want to be a part of this. I want to do this. I want to do that. We've shifted away from just taking everybody because now I get to say, okay, I only want to work with the people who we want to work with. And that's people who are serious, people who are passionate, and people who are willing to see it through, right? We really, in this season, we don't want to spend a whole lot of time working with people who like the idea but don't want to do the work, because the truth of the matter is that there's too much at stake for you, for your church, for your future. And so we want to work with go-getters. So you can click a button that says, hey, look, I want to apply for the program and I want to be considered. And you'll do that. And then here's the next thing. After you do that, all you got to do now is go make new disciples. You will partner the technology with you. We'll give you the tools you need. We'll equip and prepare your team. And we'll make sure that you can take the next step. All right. And for those of you who do apply and you decide to be a part of this, I've got a whole bunch of other bonuses that I'm going to include for you, including I'm going to help you with some strategic planning. If you want to do a better job of casting vision and being able to tell the story so that people are excited to be involved in the church, clarify things for your team, I'm going to give you a blueprint that's going to help you do that, but I'm going to do it as a bonus just for you. All right. So you want to take the next step. All you got to do is scan that QR code on the screen, schedule your breakthrough session, and we'll be ready to connect. We'll jump on, we'll get together, and you and I will start some conversation about what God might be doing in the future. All right. Listen, I hope this was good for you, man. Click to connect. Can you imagine, man, that this is the world we live in now, that at the click of a button, you can connect people to the kingdom of God, help them connect to the kingdom of God, but you can connect them to your church and into next steps to becoming a real disciple of Jesus Christ. Listen, I cannot wait to get a chance to chat with you. Make sure you scan the code, schedule your breakthrough session, and I'll look forward to seeing what God's going to do in your future. All right, listen, until next time, keep the gears turning. Peace.